G'day scrappers, got a couple of vintage PCs here to scrap out today. Thought I'd give you all a look. These are the Wang PC 005 PCs from 1984, and so they're almost identical. I don't want to keep them. They're not part of they're not something that I actually collect unless I got a complete system with console and monitor. But this one here has the hard drive in it, and this one has the double floppy, so they would boot off the old school floppy. It's still in there, terminal emulation. So they used them kind of like they were PCs or terminals of sorts. So really interesting, 1984, so that's what, 37 years old. So we can definitely class them as vintage. The only thing is I'll probably keep a few components, maybe the floppy drives. I'll just see what the condition is like once we get into them. And I think I'll scrap out this one first with the floppy, and then we'll check out the one with the hard drive. So they should be, yeah, like I said, relatively identical, and maybe just a couple of boards different. So at the back here, got the fan power supply, probably looks like 3 cards in this one. So let's crack into these and have a look what's actually inside. All right, wow, how's that for a board? Just totally loaded with IC chips, so obviously it would go as a telecom grade. Even got tiny little fingers here, but the fingers are probably the best gold fingers you can probably get. Pity we didn't have more of them. And this is just one giant power supply unit, and there's our 2 original 5 1/4 floppies. Okay, actually this caddy here probably this part here is probably very specific to this Wang, but there you go, a 5 1/4 inch old school floppy drive, and yeah, the board's okay. Does have these pretty good gold fingers. They're not bad. They're not as good quality as this little bit there. But I won't go for the boards yet. I'll just leave these because I do get vintage guys looking for that kind of stuff. So just to work out how to get the second one out. But yeah, and then the main board underneath is giant, goes right along, and it's probably the 8086 series. These EPROMs here, I can already see that they're gold inside. With these particular EPROMs, it's kind of, when you get vintage stuff like this, these EPROMs might be just, quite valuable on their own. So I'll check out the part numbers and see if they're sought after. So I'll just leave them in the board for now. Okay, Well, I might get out. So they're very straightforward. Not a great deal to scrapping them out, which is handy. But these boards, yeah, because they're so vintage, they're really going to be worth good value gold recovery if that's where we go with them. Okay. Wow, I can see already the gold fingers on the board are going to be quite amazing. There we go. Wow, check that out. Look at these gold fingers, hey? That's what gold fingers are really all about. Double-sided, just, you know, you probably can't notice it, but this is as gold as like a gold bullion coin. Just a tiny little bit of wear on the tips from it being slid in and out a couple of times, but quite a beautiful vintage board there. And like I said, I'll check these EPROMs. They are gold EPROMs, but before we do that, we want to just make sure that they're not super valuable. Yeah, even this chip here. The rest are all board mounted, but it's even a nice board to have as a showpiece. All right, second board. Again, beautiful set of gold fingers here. Oh, okie dokie. And once again, these removable ICs are always a good idea on these vintage boards to see, because they can be usable on other kind of things. I don't think these Wang systems are really, you know, they're not really collectible, or unless, like I said, you had the whole complete keypad, and then, you know, the monitor, the whole lot sort of all together would be nice. But these removable flat packs in there are also worth looking into. And yeah, maybe the board itself, but I doubt it, because it is a, you know, exclusive Wang board, so it would only be used in Wang systems. But it doesn't take much to do a bit of an online search, and just to make sure that there isn't someone somewhere in the world trying to rebuild a nice version of this PC, and sometimes they can pay good money for components. Yeah. So even these are going to be good for gold recovery, because they're so old. In those days, they used quite a lot of, you know, gold was cheap, so they just went for it. All right, now this board. Okay, and like I said, this one doesn't have the hard drive. It's got the two floppies, but the other one does, so that'll be interesting to see what the hard drive looks like. And just got to work out how to maybe. So you can see the size of the board, an L-shaped board. Goes underneath and you can see all the IC chips. So no doubt this is the main board. if we can get this floppy out. Okay. Okay, so this one's more complete, this floppy. So definitely a good idea to just keep it intact. Also the fact that it's got a vintage style floppy disk in it sort of adds to the appeal. Okay. Now. There we go. So it wasn't as hard as it seemed to be. Check that out. Now that is a super duper telecom grade board, and like I said, it's probably one before I would go to actually sell it. I'd look at you know, probably keeping it as a display board. See a nice tantalum capacitor there, old school, a couple up the top here, but yeah, nice to just have a nice bigger specimen of these tantalum capacitors on a board. We've got 2 EPROMs. We don't need the top sticker, and they're once again very nice gold EPROMs in there, but and this one's a little bit unusual. It's kind of got a raised top, so very important to check these part numbers. And there's our CPU, and as you can see, it's the D8086/2 Intel 7879. This system was made in '84, as far as I'm aware. It doesn't look, you know, it's quite an old school 8086, and it doesn't have like the gold top or gold legs. Just going to try and be a little bit careful here. Let's see if I can pop it out and just reasonably. Wasn't that good. Should get an EPROM kind of remover. So, but I've got the other one. But definitely worth checking these out. It is the 8086. It doesn't have the gold legs or anything like that. They're just tin legs. But it is the 8086, and that serial number might be a valuable one. So I'll just try and see if I can straighten the legs and try and get it back in. Ha! Perfect. Didn't mess up any of the legs. So I'd just rather keep it in there, but there we go. Other side, it's just blank, obviously. Awesome gold pins here, but it's a sort of thing I don't want to go for gold recovery. If I did, I would actually depopulate this whole board, take all these IC chips off, the pins also in there. They're all high quality gold pins. So this chip here might actually be a really good one. Unfortunately, it's mounted to the board. Yeah, well, there you go. The good old Wang. And as it turned out, quite an easy scrap. Got a backplane board here that will get it's now this one in particular, it's most likely just tin. I'm pretty sure it would be tin. There might be silver tracing underneath this, but what's exposed, because it's so old, it's like 36 years old. If this was silver, this would be tarnished already, but it's still very shiny. It's yeah, it's a genuine Wang, so it might be worth looking up, but I doubt it. The gold pins in there would be pretty good, I'd imagine, but yeah, it's the old silk screened board. Well, there we go. So all I've got left is just the power supply unit, and we're done. So there's not a great deal in there, but very happy with what we got out of it anyway. Okay, well, I'll put this aside and play around with this power supply unit later to get it out. Okay, so we got one nice complete floppy unit here with brackets and all. So I'll keep that one. This one, I might just take out the boards. Backplane board, I'm just going to put this in with backplane boards. I might check it out to see if it's got any value, but wow. So they're all the, looks like, yeah, it's like the CPU memory board. So we obviously sold the CPU, and yeah, it must be this is all, would most likely be all memory ICs. Wow, that's a really good telecom grade board. Great gold recovery on that whole board, but I'll probably end up keeping all these boards for now. Can always go for gold recovery later, but I want to do the research on the chips. Fantastic fingers, they're spectacular. These fingers here would probably make up for 50 gold fingers from modern day slot cards. And again, another telecom board. Fingers again, not as big as these fingers, a little bit shorter, but a couple extra bonus ones up there. And yeah, this chip up there might be interesting, but yep, fantastic Wang. Hey, yeah, happy with this vintage CPU. It'll probably be worth a bit just to collectors. So let's go on to the second one, check out the hard drive and see if there's any other boards that are maybe different. Okay, let's do the second version. See if it's much different than the hard drive version, or than the other one. Okay, wow. Well, we've got a nice hard drive in this one. There we have it. Is it, well, it's the Seagate. I can't see the model. I think it's the, what is it, SG20 or something like that. Can't remember what they were called. Awesome. Okie dokie. Fantastic. Now, So I just want to see if I can keep this ribbon cable. You don't often see them complete with the original ribbon cables and everything, so it's the best way to keep it. So we just try and be careful, and yeah, yep, looks like we're going to get most of the cable. Obviously the only one we're not going to get is the one that goes to the power supply unit. It's just your regular P5 type plug. So looking good. And chicken, say hello to everyone on YouTube. Yeah, this one is, you know, the one that doesn't really like to get her face on camera. She likes to stay private. All right. Well, okay. Well, this one's a little bit different to the other ones that I've had. So awesome. It's the ST412 Seagate. Still in, you know, a really good looking condition. Well, this one's dated 17th September 1990, so it obviously would have been an addition to this unit, unless this unit they bought it a little bit later, but they probably bought these things with just the floppies. And once again, this floppy I'll keep. So it's a Sucart, made in Japan. So it's still got all the serial numbers and stuff. So definitely want to keep this as it is. Don't want to scrap it for the little board. The only thing I don't really want is the housing, but that hard drive will be a really nice addition to a vintage collection. All right, so this board kind of looks a little different. Yeah, not sure. Let's have a look. Well, yeah, it's definitely different. This one had the two EPROMs here. This one's got one over there and one over here. And yeah, so that's the second board. So this board here must be, oh, that's right, yeah. Because it was connected to the hard drive, so this is obviously, you know, hard drive controller kind of board, you know, without trying to get technical. But yeah, so this is the board for the hard drive, because it still has 3 boards down the bottom. So we just got an extra bonus board, and well, it's quite magnificent, so certainly happy about that. Wow, and you know, quite good gold fingers, but problem is, you know, there are gaps, but these gold fingers, they really are thick, so there'll be good gold there. And well, the EPROM, beautiful gold EPROM again inside. Once again, we'll check the, yep, same, yeah, gold was cheap in those days, so everything was gold, but definitely check these serial numbers. They might, the EPROMs themselves can sometimes be more valuable than the whole board itself, because they could use them for other kind of vintage computer setups. And yep, that's more like it. That's identical to the last one, just about identical. You can see the difference is you got a metal tantalum capacitor on the first one, and this is one of those plastic bullet type tantalum capacitors. That's pretty much the only difference. And yeah, same model number, Wang 9443. Same deal. Nice. And this is the other one. That's, yeah, slightly different, this one. Well, actually more than slightly different. Yeah, totally different. So that was the second board of the first one, and look at the difference. This one's just, it looks like a memory. Yeah, exactly, expanded memory. So this might be a yeah, just an expanded memory card, you know, the old school version of RAM. That's a big chunk of RAM. So this card here actually might be quite sought after for people. So this one is dated 1989. Still has a part number on it. I really like extra part numbers. Just makes it much easier to find stuff. Yeah. So, and the board is completely different too. And we also have the same 8060 chip in it. Now, how did I get the last one out? It was... Okay. Okay, wow. So, similar, but different. Yeah, so that's the first one. So they're identical size. 2 EPROMs here, and the CPU there. This one's got 2 EPROMs over here, and the CPU here, which is also, yep, pretty much exactly the same CPU. So nice to have 2. Might put one into my collection and see if anyone else wants the other one. Actually, they are different part numbers. So they're both 8086/2s, but slightly different part numbers, and they're both from Intel 7879. And yeah, these 2 EPROMs here, not sure, that obviously means that R2, so this is 4 zeros, 0001. Yeah, quite interesting scrap, really. Hey, some awesome vintage cards and boards, so I won't complain with that. And more so for me, I've never scrapped this model of Wang. Don't get to scrap Wang systems out very often. So for me, it was more the experience than anything. Just same deal here, but yeah, more for the fun of it. And still got 2 very large power supply units there. that before I decide to send them off as just power supply units, I might open one up and see if there's any anything interesting in there, any gold recovery. So that's our main board from the hard drive version, and that's the first version. And this is all our cards. Fantastic. Yeah, awesome. Wow. Yep. Two nice boards there. Very similar. This one from the first one, very odd one out. Really nice gold fingers. But again, you know, you imagine a display wall with all different variations of vintage boards. This in itself is, you know, the expanded memory card. It's a bit of a talking point on its own, just to see how memory was done back in the day. But again, this might be a valuable card. And this card also, very amazing gold fingers. Pity it wasn't all the way through, but still really, really chunky. And got our two back planes. And I've got at least two good floppies that are complete that I can keep. And definitely keep this. I've never seen this model ST412. The ones that I was getting a lot of was I think it was ST20 or something like that. I can't remember. There'll be an awesome board under there, but more valuable as a collectible hard drive like that. Whole complete unit. Can't get much better than that. And even keeping the original cables just adds to it. So there you go, guys. That was a very interesting scrap. Old Wang PC 005s from the mid 80s. Very interesting. Won't get to see these very often anymore, you know. Yeah. Actually, this casing is also aluminium, so a bit of extra value there for a couple of them. And yeah, just very busy at the moment. Actually, got stuff coming in left, right and center as usual. Lots of PCs, servers, lots of boards to depopulate. Quite amazing. It's just never ending, but yeah, got to get onto a lot of this. And also I've got to get my buyer to come with the truck to start picking up boards, because I'm overflowing. I got bins of boards that shouldn't be there, but I don't have any more room in the tubs. A lot of the wheelie bins around now are full of scrap to scrap out. More motherboards just sitting around. PCs, lots of things. I'm actually trying to get through all this today, or at least half of it. And depopulation station in there. Still got a lot of server boards in there. Actually, yeah, all kinds of stuff happening. Still trying to clean up this area. Got these big tubs full of all this power regulator things, mostly this kind of stuff. Did a recent pickup, so I've got a whole lot of this cast aluminium stuff to clean up and get rid of. And yeah, just scrap everywhere. Even got vintage, well, not really vintage, ATX P4 cases. So yeah, they're brand new in box. They come with power supplies and some cable and stuff, but they're not vintage enough to do anything with, and they're not new enough to do anything with, so they're kind of in between. I don't have room to store them for 10 or 20 years before they're of value to people again. So, alright guys, well, I hope that was a bit of fun. I'll keep scrapping here, try and get down some of these PCs in ready for street scrapping on the weekend, so look out for that. Keep scrapping, have fun, and I'll catch you then.